In 2024, the SEC secured more than $45 billion in disgorgement and penalties against Terraform and its founder, Kwon. It was the largest financial penalty the SEC had ever imposed. What made it shocking wasn't just the fraud, it was the audacity to operate with outdated internal controls in a climate that had already turned unforgiving. Regulators had changed their stance, and enforcement was now sharper, faster, and more public. The regulatory environment was now laser-focused on decisive action against digital assets, high-growth fintechs, and governance failures. After the 2020 US elections, the SEC's tone shifted decisively. With new leadership under Gary Gensler, the agency expanded its scope, especially in crypto, ESG misstatements, and internal controls. According to the SEC's 2024 annual report, the agency filed 583 enforcement actions, collecting $8.2 billion in penalties, the highest in SEC's history. Fines weren't just more frequent, they were more expensive per case, and that resulted in the landmark Terraform Labs case. When fines spike after a political transition, it often signals four things. Policy priorities have shifted, and companies need to adjust. Reputation and financial risk from high fines damage credibility and strain resources. Legacy compliance models are no longer fit for purpose. And fourthly, boards and CAEs may be asleep at the wheel, and therefore reporting this KRI to the board turns it into strategy. Tracking frequency and severity of fines isn't just a scorecard for failures. It's a health check on your strategic agility. Because when enforcement hardens and you don't adapt, your organization's risk appetite is not being managed by you, but by your regulator. And here's how you monitor and manage this KRI. Track total fines and average severity quarterly. Normalize by geography or business line. Categorize by regulatory focus. For example, AML, ESG, cyber or consumer protection, etc. Map enforcement changes to macro political shifts, especially new leadership at regulatory agencies. Correlate with internal policy refreshers. Are you updating fast enough? And use predictive indicators like consent orders, investigation notices, or external whistleblower activity. After navigating the 2008 crisis and subsequent waves of enforcements, JPMorgan built a model of proactive regulatory engagement. Ahead of the 2020 US elections, it quietly reviewed its compliance risk exposure and preemptively updated controls for emerging topics like climate risk and third-party due diligence. That allowed them to stay clear of major headlines, not because they were lucky, but because they were prepared. This KRI, changes in fines and penalties post-election, is your early radar. When enforcement goes up, but your posture remains the same, you're accumulating risk instead of managing it. The smartest organizations know that regulatory tone is seasonal. What's forgiven today might be fine tomorrow. So monitor and anticipate political tone of regulations and build controls that survive the swing of elections. Please share these insights with your teams and networks. Stay sharp and carry on auditing.